My experience as an African American growing up in Alabama. As in growing up in Alabama was seemingly the same as growing up anywhere else in the United States, any other neighborhood, if you will, in the United States, as long as you stayed basically in your neighborhood. However, if you stepped out of your neighborhood, it seemed that people looked at you a little bit strange, depending on what area you were in. If you were in a black neighborhood, people really didn't look at you differently. But if you went to a neighborhood that was predominantly white, you may get some strange looks as to why are you over here? Whose house are you going to? So that's what it was like growing up in Alabama. The school I went to was predominantly black. We had probably about 90% black in my high school. 10% were of other races. Probably, if I had to put an estimate on it, was 7% that was white, if you will, and more or less 3% that was a mixture of Asian and Hispanic. That's what my high school was like, and it was a lot of fun, I have to say. At my high school, teachers, we had probably 50% black, 50% other ethnicities for as far as teachers, and that included in the administrative office. My favorite teacher throughout high school just happens to be a white guy, and I go and see him a lot when I go back to Mobile. His name was Steve Graham. He's a math teacher, and I tell you, he's just a joy to see him whenever I do go back. So, and I got a score to settle with him as far as something that we used to have fun with. He always said that being a teacher, you don't become rich or anything like that. But he always said that for all the students that he teaches, he said, whenever you find that joy in life, he said, in 10 years, when you find that job or position in life that you enjoy doing, he said, you can come back and give me $100, because that's what his whole thing was. It wasn't about teaching just math. It was about teaching about life along with math. So I think that's what made that part of growing up and that experience with dealing with him not seeing anything about racism or anything, because he cared about people in general. So, but that was Alabama. Institutional relationships in Alabama existed for a lot of years. Being born in the early 60s, we still experienced things with what was called Jim Crow laws. And Jim Crow laws were unwritten laws. For those who don't know, they weren't really, they were, or as you said, institutional laws that weren't written or could truly be upheld in court, but in many cases they were, because they were, drinking from a water fountain. I can remember there's a place in Alabama called Bienville Square. In Bienville Square, I can remember being about 5 or 6 years old, where we weren't allowed to go into Bienville Square. And what going into Bienville Square was just right off of Dolphin Street, and they had a lot of pigeons there. You could go in there and feed them peanuts. Well, even the peanut shop, which was right on Dolphin Street, around the corner from Bienville Square, and for the pastors who were here, and you know where Dolphin Street is. I know from your conference that you went to. So going around to the peanut shop, we weren't allowed to go in. You could stand at the door and look inside the window, or look inside the door and try to see whatever peanuts and candy, or if your parents could afford to buy you something. My great grandmother, that's why I would walk down on Dolphin Street with her. You could look inside the door, but you couldn't go inside. If you wanted to buy something, they had a window on the outside. You had to stand at that window and tell them what you wanted. The same thing was at Woolworths. Woolworths had, you couldn't go into Woolworths. If you wanted to, you couldn't buy anything to eat from the counter at Woolworths. If you wanted something to eat, you had to go out and around to the back of the building. And they had a little window there that you could order from at Woolworths. and this was in the late 60s, not 70s, late 60s. That's the institutional racism that was there, that I experienced. The biggest benefit I found from cross-cultural relationships is the great food. That's it, and that's my opinion, and I'm gonna stick with it. So, but that's truly the biggest benefit that I found. The next thing I would say, besides the benefit of great food, would be just learning to understand where other people come from. I love history. I love to hear stories of what other people experienced when they grew up, and it helps you to understand other people who don't engage in cultural relationships with people of other ethnicities. Probably the biggest challenge that I've found with cross-cultural relationships is the growth of individuals. Individuals have to go into cross-cultural relationships with the mindset that developing a good understanding of someone else's culture, you have to enter into that with the mindset of giving like you would in a good, strong marriage. In a strong marriage, believe me, those of us who've been married for a few years know that it takes a whole lot more giving than what you expect to get back. But in the end, it's well worth it. You enjoy every day and every minute of being with that person that you're married to. So the same way with a cross-cultural relationship, you can build a friendship that can last for a lifetime. So bottom line, as I said before, a good, strong cross-cultural relationship is like a marriage. People have to be willing to give truly from their heart. And if you're willing to give from your heart, it's beneficial. My name is Robert Jones, and now you know a little bit about me.